Hello everyone, so I'm back to talk to you about Venus and Uranus conjunction that's happening today, and at the same time we are actually experiencing Mars trining Saturn. So what does this mean? So from the traditional astrology point of view, Venus is representation of our relationships, our values, our money. Uranus usually brings the unexpected occurrences. It's the Mr. Unpredictable. So with Uranus, always expect the unexpected. And today these two meet. But from the evolutionary astrology point of view, we are looking at building up another layer onto what's been happening recently. So as as people might remember, recently we had Mars moving into sign of Cancer. So I already made a video about this where I talked about that this potentially could represent identity crisis, because Cancer is our ego structure. It's also our sense of security and safety and where we coming from, our family. And now suddenly Mars came here, so everything suddenly is becoming very emotional. Mars doesn't like being in a sign of Cancer because it's very watery, it's very emotional. And Mars is like the soldier. He wants to go and do things. He's an action figure, like a soldier in the field. And suddenly you put him in a sign of Cancer, and it's like emotional and like, what do you want me to do? So it has to go all introspective and learn about itself and figure out, who am I? What do I want? And at the same time, a few days ago, we had Mercury and Jupiter conjunction. So that was again like, do I still identify myself, the person I was a year ago? Do I still believe the same things I believe? What are my beliefs? What are my truths? And now suddenly, a few days later, 2 days later, we have Venus conjuncting Uranus. And from the evolutionary astrology, what is this telling us? It's actually the cycle between Venus and Uranus is representing, yes, something sudden and unexpected that is helping us to understand our values. So again, it's building up another layer onto what the previous transits are prompting us to understand. And Venus is all about our essential needs, our values, our sense of survival, our self-love. And she's meeting with Uranus. Uranus wants us to liberate and be sovereign and be free and individuate. So suddenly Venus is closing the cycle, because conjunction always represents the endings and new beginnings. And Venus conjuncting Uranus, she's closing the cycle of the past 12 months, when she was going around the zodiac, gathering information, how she wants to liberate herself, who she really is, what she finds value in, how does she relate to herself and to others. So whatever she found out, she decided, okay, this is the end of the line, this is the end of the cycle. Now I've realized that this is not maybe me anymore, that I value something different to what I valued a year ago, that the people I'm hanging out with, maybe they're not the right people for me. The way I relate to myself, I need to change, because maybe I don't value myself enough, maybe I'm not putting myself first. And then that's causing a lot of issues in my life. Or do I even believe that I have a value, that I have a self-worth? And then if my life is not reflecting it back to me, how can I change this? How can I change the approach to myself for it to be reflected in my external environment? So there could have been some sudden realizations with this transit, with this conjunction of Venus and Uranus, that suddenly made you understand that this is who I want to be. This is the life I want to live. These are actually the things that really matter to me, my values. And these are the kind of people I would like to be surrounded with. This is the kind of partner I would like to attract into my life. So with Uranus, it's something that is sudden, that just comes like a flash of lightning. It can also be a situation that creates trauma, because it could be something that we cannot integrate instantly. And then it gets pushed into subconscious. And maybe it could be the opposite, that this conjunction is bringing up something from the past, something from your subconscious, for resolution, for you to look at, that perhaps there was a circumstance you experienced recently that made you realize that, oh my God, this is something that I experienced 20 years ago. And now I understand why, and now I can heal it, I can integrate it. And this been maybe ruling my life for past 20 years because I didn't see it, I didn't understand it. So Uranus can show up in a lot of different ways. It could be in a ways that are uncomfortable and traumatic, but it could be also in a ways that are very liberating. Because at the end of the day, the role of Uranus is he's the awakener. He wants to wake us up, to help us reconnect with our true essence, to help us live the life that is our authentic life, where we can really show up for ourselves in our individual version, individuated version, as who we truly are and what we want to be, not just falling into some definitions of the society and following the consensus and wanting what everybody else is wanting. Because is that really what you want? Is that really what you find value at? To have these latest gadgets or to have these designer clothes? And there is nothing wrong with that. If this is what you value, then it's okay, then it's fine. If this is a representation of who you really are and it makes you happy, then that's good. But a lot of people are falling into this societal trap where they adopt the values of people around them, and they want to compete with someone else or match these values, and then they seeking and chasing after things that don't actually in a deep essence matter to them, that don't represent value to them, but they feel the peer pressure or the societal expectation to have what everybody else is having and better. It is constant competition. But actually this conjunction that is happening today, from the deeper point of view, of course it might also manifest as a crisis in the financial market. I mean, we've already been seeing that. It's nothing new, but there could be some new development, or when it comes to crypto, or when it comes to AI, because that's all ruled by Uranus, and Venus represents everything that we put a value into, that we find valuable and essential in our life, that we need for survival. So that's one way it can show up. But the other way is this, that it actually might awake the understanding of what really matters to you and who you really want to be, and maybe how you didn't connect with yourself the way that you wanted to. Maybe you let yourself down because you were trying to please everyone else. And this is actually something that we will be talking about in regards to full moon in Libra, which is coming next week, but that's we're gonna come back to it another time. But yes, this Venus conjuncting Uranus is inviting us to reevaluate how the past 12 months gone for us, what maybe no longer has a value that had before, like what we don't see as essential or important in our life. So maybe it's a time for decluttering. Also in regards to our relationship to ourselves, how have I been taking care of myself? Have I been putting myself first? Have I been showing up for myself the way that makes me proud, that represents who I truly am? Or am I just showing up in a way that is being expected by my environment? And also, how are my relationships? The relationships with people around me, which are always reflecting back to us where we stand in relation to ourselves, to myself. How do I show up for myself? And these people around me, they reflect it back to me. How do they treat me? Do they treat me with respect or not? Which again will show, do I treat myself with respect or not? So this conjunction, Venus-Uranus conjunction, is ending a cycle of past year. So what did we learn? What did we gather in regards to these themes that is blocking us for feeling free and liberated and being able to live the life that is authentic? And how do we want to change things in order for this new cycle to start in a way that is more authentic, that is really showing the world who we truly are, that we can really show up for ourselves in our true essence. And at the same time, we have Saturn in Pisces, trine. Trine is a positive aspect, it's a very harmonious aspect, so it's a positive communication between two planets. Conjunction can be positive and negative. It's really neutral because it depends how we use it. It can have both. It's like it represents ending and new beginnings. So it depends where we at and how we're looking at it. It can feel good and it can feel not so good. But with trine, it's usually always harmonious aspect. It's something that is felt easily And between Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is breaking down the structure in Pisces. Pisces is all about the endings. So again, the old definitions, the old structures are crumbling down, which we can see on the collective, but also in our individual lives. Like how things that we thought were safe and stable, how maybe they are not anymore. Maybe the job that I've had for so long, maybe it doesn't feel safe to me. Maybe the environment I'm living in, maybe it doesn't feel that is representation of who I am. So Saturn in Pisces is dissolving the old structures. It's also helping us to put together the parts of ourselves that are lost. That we don't even know that we had, that we lost, that we need to find this aspect of ourselves which we rejected because maybe I live in a culture that doesn't accept my beliefs or something, and then I had to suppress it, I had to reject it. And this Saturn in Pisces is inviting us to dissolve these old definitions and structures, this old reality that we created for ourselves, but that actually doesn't give us a sense of safety, and let it go, and also rebuild the new reality, manifest the new reality that is based on our true self, the aspect of ourselves that we had to let go of, that we had to abandon and dissolve because they weren't appreciated or accepted, or they weren't welcome in the environment we were living in. So it's giving us opportunity for both. Let go of that which no longer serves and welcome into your life that which does. And that could be also the old aspects of yourself, the old you, like who were you before all this programming and all this conditioning set in? Do you still remember when you were a child and who you truly were, who you wanted to be when you grow up? And then life happened, and then we had to become someone else to fulfill the roles that we have to play and play our role in a wheel, be a cog in a wheel of the society to let it function. So Saturn in Pisces invites us to do exactly that, and we have 3 years to figure it out. And as talked before, Mars in Cancer is having identity crisis. It's made to sit down with itself, go within, feel its emotions, and understand that who am I? This Cancer is my identity. Like, how do I identify myself? Am I really the person that I think I am? Is that how I feel inside? How does this feel for you? These labels that we created for ourselves, that's the Mercury and Jupiter conjunction that happened a few days ago, all these labels and definitions and identifications, you know, all your job role, your being a mother, being a wife, being a whatever label constructs our physical identity in this reality, our ego structure. Is this who you really are inside? You know, when you just sit with yourself and you have time to meditate and reflect and connect with that essence that drives you, the essence that lives within you, your inner child, is this how you really see yourself? Or is this just all these labels that's been created for us by the society to represent us, to make us easier to identify? But soul is limitless and is multidimensional. So these labels, they help us to navigate through this reality, this world that we are operating in, but that's not all that we are. And perhaps some aspects of who you really are, who is your soul, maybe some of it has been suppressed, and now we need to find it. That's why this Mars in Cancer has to sit still in this watery environment full of emotion, and it needs to feel. It needs to feel what maybe it didn't allow itself to feel before, because there was this action plan with Mars is constantly on the move. Let's get moving, let's get going. And suddenly Mars is in Cancer, where it has to sit still, it has to connect, it has to feel emotions, and these two are supporting each other. So Mars and Saturn currently are in communication, supporting each other, where this Mars is saying, okay, well, I need to sit with myself, I need to figure it out, and based on what I find out, this, my friend Saturn, is either going to dissolve it, or it's going to help me build it again from the scratch. You know, I'm going to build my new life based on how I feel, based on who I am, based on what resonates with me and what doesn't anymore. And that's what Venus with Uranus are telling us about. What resonates and what doesn't? Is this important? Are these people supporting you? Are they really mirroring back to you who you really are? or who you were, or who they think you are. Which one is it? And how we go forward from here on. And like I said, this full moon that's coming up next week, full moon in Libra. Libra is all about relationship and how we relate to others and ourselves. That is going to help us even further. So this is a preparation. These aspects that have been happening in the past days with all these planet changes into new signs. And as I mentioned, Mars moving into Cancer, of course, the so much spoken about Pluto, which just wants us to accelerate this individuation process already, like, hey guys, are you there yet? And of course we're not, because it's only happening for 3 months this year, and then it goes back into Capricorn, into these old definitions, which we still need to break and figure out which one of that we want to keep and bring into the future, and which one not, which one, which one we just need to dissolve with this Saturn in Pisces. Just let it go. Yeah, just dissolve it. If it no longer gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, then let it go, because why hold on to it? It takes space that you can vacate to allow something new to come into your life. And here I'm talking to myself as well. So if you would like to know how this is showing up for me personally, well, I had a call with my parents. My parents have a very clear identification for who they think I am or who I should be, and I'm not fulfilling I'm not fitting into this box. I'm not fulfilling this identification, and they, with their best intention, they're trying to help me to navigate through my life, but with all these energies of endings and beginnings, I don't know yet. I don't know yet where I'm heading and who I'm becoming and where I want to go and who are my people. I'm still in a process of figuring it out, but they think that, okay, they have all the answers and they're trying to navigate me in the direction which they feel is the right one for me. But this is, again, do you allow the others to do it for you? Or will you sit down like this Mars that is frustrating because he can't move and it can't go and it can't do things. It just needs to sit and be quiet and feel things, and that's very dangerous. I mean, feeling things, oh my God, it's overwhelming. So what do we let it to be? Do we allow other people to tell us and to decide for us, or do we do the work where, the energies are there, they're ready to support us, they're ready to give us a helping hand, like everybody is in place. Venus with Uranus, they want to help us to individuate and recognize what is important for you. What kind of people you want to have around you. Maybe they are not the same people that are still there. Maybe they are. Maybe you just want to grow together. Maybe not. Maybe you want to find different people. And this is the theme. This is just another layer. It's just another layer to the red thread, because the story continues. The story never began and never ended. It's timeless, and this is just another little layer, just another stepping stone to get us where we are all heading. And maybe this helps someone to identify where you're at, because I know that there's been a lot of confusion, a lot of heavy energies. There's been so many shifts, and it's not easy because there is this need for acceleration, but we need to adjust to it. We're still operating in the old paradigm, and to suddenly change everything from one day to another just because Pluto changed into sign of Aquarius from one day to another, it's not so easy. And that's why Pluto is just staying there for 3 months. And actually, from the 1st of May, it's going to go backwards. It's going to retrograde, and then it goes back into Capricorn, because it understands. It knows this is a lot, guys. I know this is a lot. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of sitting down with yourself and shadow work and facing your triggers and facing your old traumas and old wounds and doing all this retrospection and all that. And it's not easy. It's a heavy stuff. It's a lot of work. Which is why Pluto is only dipping its toes for 3 months and then stepping out into Capricorn, okay, I'll give you a bit of more breathing space, because even though this old structure is not working collectively and perhaps individually in our personal lives too, but it's too heavy, too difficult to just change it suddenly. So we'll get another few months of break, but this is the starting of the process where all these planets are supporting us and help us to identify what it is. Where do we stand in our process? What is the past? What is the present? And what of the past we want to take with us into the future, and what we don't? So this is my view of what's going on today. I hope it resonates, at least with some of you. And yeah, let me know in the comments if it does, if it doesn't. And yeah, let's get ready for this full moon, the moon of integration, and we'll see what energies are going to come up with that. We are just about to embark into the brand new month, the month of April, when it's actually my birthday, my solar return. So it's no wonder that I'm going through all these closing phases in my life where I'm not quite sure where I'm heading, because it's all this Neptunian energy of the endings. So it's not the right time to make decisions. For people who have birthday in April, in the next month, it might not be easy to make the decisions now, because your sun is in your 12th house. So it's the closing of the cycle time before you have your birthday, and then a new cycle will begin and there will be more clarity. But right now it's very difficult to make decisions that will impact our future, because it's all very confusing, right? So yeah, and also on the top of everything, we're going to have the eclipses. So yeah, in April, the first one will hit. So let's get ready for that. But that's a theme for another time. So I'll leave it at that. And I wish everybody a beautiful day and a nice weekend ahead. And I'll speak to you soon, guys. Bye.